what I wore today.
Oh, you did it. All right.
I did it. So here's my issue. I don't think I would have bought Luka Doncic shoes if he wasn't on the Mavericks.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I can't believe you wore that. I actually thought you would have gotten rid of those.
I think I'm too cheap to get rid of them because
All right, we're doing it. Episode 5, sending it hard and fast.
Codified, where we come alive in the hum of every day. We strive with the ordinary. We find our grace, an exceptional average in this space.
Codified.
here we are.
Yep. Welcome in. We are. So ironically, I don't know if you remember this. We were actually gonna talk about a sports-related problem in Dallas originally for this episode, and then something happened this week that we're recording it. That broke our hearts. That might actually be like we were. I can't even say it. It's just hard to say. We're first segment out the gate. Luka Doncic
Luka.
traded to the Lakers. It hurts. I can't even. It doesn't roll on the tongue at all. I'm pissed. We're pissed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All of Dallas, North Texas. It's heartbreaking. So
I feel like I've gone through the stages of
you've done a lot of grieving.
Like multiple times.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm just laughing. It hurts so much.
Yeah. But then there's multiple moments in the day where I just say under my breath, he was ours.
He was our little boy.
Yeah. Like Dirk taught him the way. He was willing to do the way. Look, we get it. He wasn't perfect. It was annoying watching him cry to the refs. Okay. We put up with that.
Yeah.
We were fine with that. We wanted to build our franchise around him for the next 10 years at least.
I mean, here's my issue with this, where I'm at right now, because it's been all over the map. I want to like my team.
Yeah.
Like part of the thing is right?
Sure.
Your Mavericks, you want to like the players on them. Not that I don't really like anybody on there.
Right.
But when we won the championship in 11 and we had Dirk and Tyson Chandler, you fell in love with Chandler. And
yeah, I don't even want to alienate the current roster because even the additions, even what I hear Anthony Davis saying in the press conferences of I get it, it sucks, and he's like, I heard him yesterday. He was like, I'm gonna bring you life, Dallas, and I'm like, that's great. I don't want to get into I don't like the team. I want to get into the problem of ownership and how it just boils down to money. Whatever initiative Nico and the higher ups, the front office wanted to do, they did it with, it's not sports. It's not fandom. At that point, you're just accounting.
Well, this is what I asked you on the phone the other day. Have we ever seen anything that proves that winning a championship actually makes a franchise more money?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's a good bolstering of money, but it's not pure dollars to a championship.
I think what comes down to is why do you think we actually got rid of Luka? Do you think it actually was money versus impact? Do you think they didn't want to pay him that much money?
I think it definitely had to do with the max or the super max coming. Didn't want to pay him that much. But I think it came more down to the fact that he didn't fit the culture that the front office believed was a championship winning type of culture. And if you look at his stats, they are unreal top 5 stats across the league. He's number 2 or number 3 in the league. And here's the other part that just is a dagger twisted in your back. You didn't get even close to the value for it. That would have helped me.
Absolutely.
If it was we stacked up on first round picks, it would have still hurt like this, but I would have been but hey, the future it has possibilities. I'm hopeful. I'm not even hopeful.
So do you think that there's a response? I don't know how to word this question because I'm not that smart. A responsibility to ownership when you have someone like Luka. Everybody says a generational talent. He's your boy. I mean, no, we didn't draft him, but we traded for him right off the bat, right? Like, so he's ours from the get-go. He has been ours. Do you think there's a responsibility for the ownership to build around that?
Maybe. I mean, look, I get that draft picks and like plans can change. I'm not saying they can't. I just think the way it was done in the middle of the night on a Saturday, none of the players, or frankly, I still don't even think Jason Kidd knew about it. None of the coaching knew about it. Like, clearly, when you do business like that, there's a reason why you're hiding it, because you know it's like to a level wrong. They did that. Then what you traded him for was abysmal. Like, you went backwards. Most people try to trade away old to get young. We literally are doing the opposite. Now we have our three important mains, Clay, Kyrie, and AD, are all like approaching mid-30s. Like the whole the excuse that you hear from Nick, I'm baffled. I can't even put words together for this segment. It's that frustrating.
Man, in my brain, I don't know if it's how my brain works, I keep trying to find a way to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I can't.
It feels like nobody could be. You can't be that successful as a person, right? Like if I'm an exec at Nike, if I'm a GM of a team, I'm pretty successful. I've got to be somewhat kind of smart. So can you be that dumb?
I also hate the fact clearly DFW's rioting, protesting to run him out of town. And what's frustrating is that's a really good chance that happens. He even joked about it in the press conference. He was like, either we're going to be here in 10 years talking about him and Jason Kidd, or we're going to bury ourselves. And he laughs. And I'm just like, you don't care because this is just a job to you. You're going to go on and make plenty of money somewhere else.
Yeah.
You'll fall up. But you left us as a fan base in shambles. It's okay. So let's get to this. Personally, I'm not going to cheer for the Mavs right now. I'm not. Best of luck to him. People have asked me, even if you win a championship this year, I'm like, first of all, that is the craziest statement. And we were closer to a championship with the previous roster than we were this one. So forget your hopes there. But yeah, okay. It will not be the same. I will not be happy if we get it. But we're not going to get it, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't want to cheer for the Lakers. I can't. I hate those colors. They don't look good on Luka whatsoever. No. He's not a yellow guy. I'm not a yellow guy. I'm not. Look, if he went, honestly, I bet he's seething. Knowing his emotions and seeing it on the court, you're like, what occurred to him after buying a house the week before this trade in Dallas, $15 million, just having a baby, being settled. Clearly he wanted to be here. You could still tell he's slowly realizing, oh yeah, I'm a Laker. This is not going to be that bad. But you could tell he's still a young kid trying to process.
I have so many questions.
Yeah.
So here's, I want to talk my correlation with the Rangers about this.
Okay.
How do you think Dirk feels? Because I think we asked, Cuban and the Mavericks asked Dirk, stay here, put this kid under your wings. Basically, we want you to pass the torch to him, and we want you to be involved, and all of that. And Dirk didn't know.
I think he's shocked. I think I'm just grateful that he did what he did. It makes it that much more special, and it changes the way I look at the NBA and how you can't help but see how much they were hurt for ratings and how they needed to go do some dire steps. And you just seeing all the conspiracy theories about refs and fixing games, I am hanging by a thread to believe that I can genuinely enjoy it. I was thinking about this on the drive over here. I know at the end of the day that every major sport, every sports league that we watch and love and the teams that we cheer for are at the end of the day businesses that have bottom dollar to achieve.
Yes.
But part of your business, in my opinion, is creating the magic and belief for your fans to buy in and not think about Oz behind the curtain. And you didn't just open the curtain. You reminded us, you tore it down. And you just said, at the end of the day, this is all we care about is tickets and sales.
There's an illusion, right? There's an illusion that lives there that us as Dallas fans, we've had to stomach that line a lot with the Cowboys.
Yes.
We do. Does Jerry really care about winning, or is he just about the money? Does he really care about? That's what makes me wonder. Like, is winning actually make you more money, or does winning kind of just the ego side of it?
Because there's a lot of people saying, like, look at the splash the NBA made. They get more attention from trade deadlines and these crazy power moves than they do the actual viewership of their games. And they did it, and ironically, it's the week before the Super Bowl that all this hits, and you're like, I haven't heard a lick about the Super Bowl the last couple of weeks. It's been all NBA news, and you're like, I just can't help but think that you want this type of attention because you know you've been hurting. Like, it's disheartening. I'm at a rough spot. I hope Luka gets a championship. I will hate that it's with the Lakers, but I'll be happy for him.
I've wondered this. If I've actually just been in love with the idea of Luka and not actually Luka.
Well, I mean,
because he's going to he whines and complains a lot.
Yeah.
He doesn't show a lot of effort at times on the court, defensive wise.
Fair.
He is always hurt or nagging.
But I mean, he led every offensive stat in the finals.
So that's where I struggle.
You're right.
I struggle with that.
I think you called it well. We might have been more in love with the idea of him. Here's my thing, though. It goes beyond just Luka. We are taught as fans to be loyal, to stick through the thick and the thin, the highs and the lows with the team. And then the team is not held to that standard whatsoever. They could do whatever they want because they think they're the wiser one. And I just... Dallas as a sports market's tricky. Like, it's never been given the credibility of some of the coast cities, you know. And it felt like with the Rangers winning a couple years ago, with Luka being off the heels of Dirk, it was like this is now a destination of sorts, and there's going to be momentum, and this obliterated whatever momentum there.
So a question: when you say loyalty, are you talking about loyalty to like the Mavericks or the ownership to Luka?
No,
or the ownership or loyalty to the fans?
Just we are called as fans to be loyal to cheering for the Mavericks in the highs and lows,
like for the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the team.
But you're saying they didn't show loyalty to the fans?
Yeah, and to like you have a protest happening in front of your first home game after he's gone.
And right when the trade happened, there was protests.
And the whole league, like, nobody could believe it. And honestly, it sent a crazy message of, like, nobody's safe. Like, it's going to cause lasting damage for years. And I don't know how you get out of it. I don't know what.
Okay. So you and I cannot solve the world's problems.
No, we're not that smart.
But I have a question on this too. If I'm the GM of the Mavericks, or a GM of a sports franchise, am I the general manager of trying to win or put a product on the court that makes money?
But I would hope win. But even if it is the second, what didn't you just give up the one that makes more money? Because the Mavericks had to offer refunds for season ticket holders for the rest of the season because of how mad they are. I heard they lost like thousands of subscriptions in their game TV package.
I don't know. That's where I've always wondered the bottom line.
I don't know.
Because if you're looking at it financially and you saved $100 million over 5 years, are you going to lose $100 million?
Oh, yeah. You could. Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
We could probably spend a whole episode on this. I don't know if my heart could take that. So do you have anything left on this? Because we're broken. I'm going to struggle to enjoy sports for a while in general after this.
Okay.
But we felt it was important to do this together today.
So I do have one question that I proposed to you earlier that I would think we need to talk about just for a second. Sure. The last touch on the Luka thing. Because I think we've suffered this pain before together. And it was the 2011 Rangers.
Yeah.
When we were in our house together, standing up for every pitch.
Yep.
And it was ripped. 2 days in a row was ripped.
Yep.
But I was thinking about this. But we got our World Series.
12 years later.
But that felt weird. Because the 11 team, I knew every player. I had watched them. I had kind of grown with this team, and they didn't get it. But then my 2023 Rangers got it, and it was like, cool, the Rangers won a World Series, sports tier, yay! But it wasn't quite the same if that 11 team would have won.
I was following this recent team more than maybe you were, so I don't think it felt weird to me.
Okay.
But it definitely, like, again, you asked for my loyalty through the thick and thin. We went through 12 years of bad baseball. So it was rewarding to have that moment.
It was.
I just feel like the way the Mavericks did business, even if you get a championship in the next 5 years, it's going to feel pretty dirty. It's going to feel pretty gross. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
But, you know, I have to, I'll let you know if I can get back to cheering for the Mavs. But right now they're on suspension for me.
On suspension?
Yeah.
You've shunned them?
Indefinite suspension. Straight, like.
Go Stars?
Yeah. I mean, go Stars, go, you know, Rangers.
Dallas Wings?
We'll talk about the Cowboys later.
Okay.
I don't have time for them right now.
You don't have the emotional stamina.
I know. However, let's pick
change.
up the positivity and enjoyment.
Dude, let's make it happy.
Yes.
Happy.
And
Okay.
you came up with this idea, so I'll let you set this one up.
So I've heard like this kind of term before, but I think it never got traction, and that's sad to me. But I think one of the things that I would like to know your opinion on is and I think we should do this as a segment from now on.
Okay.
Maybe not every week, but a lot.
Yeah.
The Mount Rushmore of.
Right.
So the idea of the Mount Rushmore is the top 4 things.
No particular order.
No particular order.
Left to right, maybe.
Just the top 4 things of that subject.
Yeah.
So today, top 4 Mount Rushmore of sitcoms, sir.
Sitcoms, TV shows.
Sitcoms, TV
Okay.
shows. I mean, we're narrowing it not to any TV show, but to the genre of sitcom.
And I'm pretty comfortable about what I think we should do, but I'm gonna have mine and you're gonna have yours. Okay. All right. You want to lead us? Or we could do one off.
You want to go one off?
Yeah,
Let's do
we'll
that.
go one off. You start.
Me start?
Yeah.
Office. The Office. It's
Yeah.
And I'm not I'm weird on The Office. For me, greatest. I laugh every time, see something different time, but I've also seen every episode probably 30 times.
Yeah.
Dominated some like coffee shop office trivia things. But I wasn't on board right when it was airing. But I did start right after.
Yeah.
So I was kind of the initial run of it. But it seems to have a new.
Yeah. I mean, I will say it's also in my Mount Rushmore. It's an era of TV that I think is going to be really hard to top. Like the 2000s, 2010s run it's gold. It's gold, and it's one of the most rewatchable shows. Like Heather and I have watched it multiple times. It's very comforting to like you buy into the characters. They're a part of your life.
We are introducing our son, who's 17, to it and watching it as a family. And he does laugh, but also doesn't quite get it.
Yeah,
and I'm like, it's because you haven't worked in an office place.
But it is a different humor. Like if you look at the way they write sitcoms now, I don't know if that generation is going to connect to it the same way. And it has some jokes in it that like I don't think you could run today.
No, hashtag cancel.
Yeah. I mean, some of the episodes are wild, and we all know what we're talking about if you've seen it. But it is up there. It is. I love it. I hear they're thinking of rebooting it for this generation, and I actually am okay with it in the sense of like, you really could do this every 12 to 15 years and let it be the defining way the office environment, because think about the way
true.
The office is
true.
like the typical American office is drastically different. So
oh my gosh, there's ideas there.
Yeah.
Like the person that won't come back into the office.
Yeah.
That's
right,
funny.
Right. So I'm actually okay with it.
That's really
as
funny.
long as that one's different. Like a Harry Potter reboot, different because those are, very deep written characters. But I think The Office and what it means conceptually, because it started as the British version and going to America, like I think it has room to be rebooted.
I think they could do it if they didn't don't try to have Jim and Pam again. Don't try to have Dwight
just
again.
do your own thing.
Now have the office weirdo.
Yeah.
yes, but don't just try to recreate him.
I think they'll be okay with it.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, so again, The Office is in mine, so there's already one there. But the second one, quickly on its heels, I do have to put Parks and Recreation up there too.
Okay.
And I do think it's a tier lower than The Office. I'll say that.
Okay.
But it actually took me, I think I had to relaunch it 3 times to actually get into it. Because it's kind of like what you said about starting The Office. Like, I actually wasn't sold on Parks and Rec in the first couple episodes. But I actually think they figured out how to go even deeper than The Office did with some character development. I like some of the deeper character developments that Parks and Rec took on.
Do you think The Office kind of got pigeonholed a little bit because it was in the office, where Parks and Rec didn't have like a centralized? There was the department, but think about how many scenes were outside of that.
I definitely think it was way more. I think I think it branched out a little bit more. I think I like the way it poked fun at the politics of government departments.
Yeah.
Like that to me was such a fabric of the humor that I loved.
And it did seem that a lot of the Office had to land on Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Versus other people.
Yeah.
I mean, you had other characters for sure, but it wasn't like.
Yeah.
It was really heavy him.
Yeah. And I mean,
Parks and Rec is up there for me. It's
not in your Mount Rushmore.
It's not in my Mount Rushmore, but it is.
It's high.
It's close.
Okay.
I mean, for me, there's funnier characters in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Than there are in
Tom
The Office,
Haverford.
but the situations of The Office are funnier to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Andy.
Yeah.
In Parks and Rec is just.
And it's wild to think of what Chris Pratt became, but at the start of that show, like, he was relatively unknown.
Yeah.
So it's funny to watch back too. So okay, all right. Okay. So what's your second?
Okay. Do you want like what would be a typical one or a non-typical one?
Give me a non-typical one.
Non-typical one.
Yeah.
For sitcom, and you can argue with me on this one. Saved by the Bell.
Whoa. Okay.
So we didn't put like a timeline of like as an adult.
I don't think we should have.
As a kid, So for me, it's a comedy that's based like a sitcom, right? And for me, it just every dude wanted to be Zach or AC, and every dude wanted to date Kelly or Jesse. I mean, it was just the thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's up there for me. It's cheesy. It was only like 4 seasons. It's stupid, but yeah. I mean, it's just
nails it.
It's still like I don't reference Seinfeld or the Cosby Show or all the TGIF stuff.
Yeah.
That we grew up with, Dinosaurs, Step by Step, Family Matters. I mean, nobody really does. Urkel, one of the best characters on TV, but nobody references him anymore.
No.
But there's still this there's still a Zach and Kelly or Saved by the Bell reference in our home and stuff like that. So,
all right, I like that one. All right, so this one, I don't actually know where you stand on this, but my number 3 is How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew you would disagree with me on this one.
Oh, go ahead. It's your.
I loved. I just think it's a time of life that it fits really well to my college years and a little bit more of the crude humor side of me that it nailed. It has, and I was a hopeless romantic in my like single life, and even how I ended up getting Heather, and it was on during a lot of my dating life, and so I think from like just a modern day to my timeline, it fit really well.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. I struggle with how we never really watched How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
But I've seen like YouTube shorts. It just seems like it's just on there, whatever, clips on there. Mm-hmm. My issue with How I Met Your Mother is almost my same issue with Friends. If you took out any sexual joke, there's not much content.
No. which is I'm admitting it's crude humor. Like,
I'm not saying that's. I'm not trying to be Mr. Prude.
I agree. You're right. And I'm okay with that. I think there's I'm probably gonna get some backlash here, but I think there's a room for some crude humor in my life, and
That's fair.
there's a lie to but I enjoy it. And Ted Mosby, I relate to him greatly, and I love the story. I thought there's some really fun, like iconic, like some of the guests they have on it are great. It rolls really well for me.
It's your jam.
Yeah, they're actually in March of this year. I heard that they're doing a podcast, the How I Met Your Mother cast,
Like all the other TV show casts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like really pumped for that. So we'll see. All right. What's your 4? What's your 4th?
Would it be my 4th already?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I have a tie.
No, you can tell me
I can't do a dual face.
Yeah,
chisel
you
on
just
Mount
gotta.
Rushmore?
No, we said top 4. We could chisel that face off the mountain and put a new one up later, but you gotta put 4, dude.
Dynamite.
Yeah, dynamite.
Man. Okay. I've got 2 honorable mentions, and then I'll give you mine.
Oh, okay.
Honorable mention: Friends,
Okay.
Parks and Rec,
Okay.
Big Bang Theory.
Okay.
Great shows. I'm gonna go. Dude, this shows my age. I'm gonna go Blossom.
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 All right. I'm gonna be completely honest. I have no idea what that show is.
So
I feel like you're making up a show. I have no reference to it.
Okay, so Blossom. Callie, I got candy in my hands melting now. Okay, so Amy Farrah Fowler,
Okay.
Big Bang Theory. She became famous for a TV sitcom
I had no idea.
that she starred in called Blossom, where she was Blossom. And it's kind of it was a mid-90s sitcom where she had 2 older brothers and a best friend. It was just about that. But it was one of the first sitcoms where you had a divorce. I think it was a divorce or her mom died. I can't remember.
I will go watch highlights of this because I just can't believe this is a show.
It was the first show that I remember where they took characters and totally turned the volume up of their personality.
Nice.
So like one of her older brothers was like an airhead.
Gotcha.
And they just turned that volume way up.
Wow.
And so like I just remember as a teenager, like I just repeat like Blossom's on, we're watching it. Blossom's on, we're watching it. So yeah. I know it's weird. I know Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was in my brain.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
So there's some,
Yeah, I think I'm gonna regret How I Met Your Mother in it because I am like, there's some weight to it. So again, we'll re-chisel it. We can once we go through a Mount Rushmore of other stuff, we'll come back and we'll be like, hey, do we want to change anything out? So my final one, you did mention my final.
St. Helena to Mount Rainier.
Yeah, you did mention my final one, and it's Big Bang Theory. The dynamic of those nerds like makes my heart happy. I wish I was half as smart as who they claim to be in the show, but the humor and the pop culture nerd lore that they play their writing off of, like, I feel like it was fun to be a nerd, make fun of nerds, recognize nerds can still get the girl, like play that dynamic. Yeah. I thought the actors and in the show are just iconic. I love all of them, and
it was new.
It was new.
Totally
it was fresh.
New way to do things.
Yeah, I can't believe how long they were able to run that show. That kind of blows my mind.
Yeah,
I think it's
like
7. No, it's like 17 seasons or something crazy.
No way.
I'll have to double check the number. I'm sorry, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Keep talking about it. Who's your favorite character?
I mean, Sheldon. Sheldon is just Jim Parsons. That is definitely an actor that I would love to meet and shake his hand and be like, thank you for creating such a loved character. And it's really cool to see him go on.
12 seasons.
12. Okay. Wow, it was a little dramatic. 12 seasons.
But the spinoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was great how they added, like, they had such a good thing going for 3-4 seasons, and then they had to figure out how to expand. And a lot of shows can trip and fall when you try to give other characters love interest and like grow the show. And I think they did a phenomenal job. Like, it was a very delicate matter.
Yeah, it's a great show. Absolutely love it.
Yep.
Did you ask Heather this question?
No, we actually have not talked about this, but she has a completely different take on TV watching than me. So the only show that we would watch of those is The Office. She hates the other three.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, like, is she more like a Gilmore Girls type?
Yeah, Gossip Girl, even like a Scandal, like a little bit more of those intense, like, not, like crime related, but just, like more suspenseful drama.
I don't know, man.
Grey's Anatomy.
ER.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, see, I can't wait to talk about that stuff.
Like, what is that? Is that drama? Is that
it'd be drama.
TV? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll go back to Mount Rushmore quite a bit. I do think it'll be a regular rotation, just like sports is.
Real quick on the sitcom conversation, do you find it odd that like we have these revisits? So like The Office is a revisit that people have gone to. I think Parks and Rec will eventually be a revisit that a new generation kind of falls in love with.
Yep.
Do you find it odd no one has revisited and fallen in love with Seinfeld? Because they have Friends. I feel like Friends is...
So I have one of my good friends, Nick. Shout out, Nick. He has revisited Seinfeld and loves it. Like, I actually...
Really?
There's a couple other friends that I could think of that, like, have started to rediscover Seinfeld. Yeah. And then the other one that I thought about that's an honorable mention for me is Everybody Loves Raymond.
That's on what's on Allison's.
Love Everybody.
I think that's on her.
Yeah,
Home Improvement and Everybody Loves Raymond.
But I thought you were going to ask me. I think it's interesting that we really didn't say a show that was created in the last 5 to 10 years. Like, it's bad.
But are there sitcoms anymore?
Probably not. I mean, the honorable mention that it comes close, and even then, it started technically, I think, in the early 2010s is Community for me, like with Joel McHale.
My son loves Community.
Yeah, phenomenal show. Honorable mention. But
do Rick and Morty fall into this whole thing? Is there?
I don't know.
Or what's the chicken one and all that? Like,
yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, yeah. Is animated a category like sitcom? Animated sitcom of itself?
No, like
we should
Simpsons.
See, it's definitely comedy, but it's like I just don't think it's the same category.
King of the Hill.
Yeah, again, that's we need to have a whole Mount Rushmore for animated comedy. I think.
I don't know if I could because I don't watch any.
Oh, that's fair.
You could do animated shows.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we love this segment, and we're excited about it.
Okay, so since we're on the comedy thing, let's jump to another fun little thing. You kind of brought this up, so I wanted to. You brought it up. Was it in a podcast? We're talking. See,
it was in a podcast.
Was it? I get confused.
Yeah,
when just normal conversation versus podcast pranks.
They are a very important part of our lives.
An underrated.
Yeah, healthy pranks. There's a line.
Yes. We both just want to throw out that there is a line and not talk about the line.
Yep. Well, we'll get into it a little bit, but I think would you say like it definitely for me, maybe not for you, maybe it was the way you grew up. Mine stemmed from youth group, like the way that church camps, youth groups, the way you just bantered with one another, wanted to get it, in a healthy border the line often way.
Yeah, I think for me early on, like home was so serious. Like, not to get real about a non-real subject, but like home was so serious that like you just didn't have like there were times you didn't really have a playful attitude towards things, where I think is where pranks come from. Like, there's this like playful attitude towards life. And so like I think there's good pranks. Not every prank has to like put someone out. So like my earliest prank that I remember pulling was when my sister was like 4. I remember getting on the roof of our little mobile home with bells and like stomping on the roof on Christmas Eve with bells. So that's a good prank.
Yeah. I remember. I mean, like some of the early ones for me would have been like hiding from my mom in the department store in the little clothes.
The circle clothes?
Yeah. I think it's just a spirit. It's a very childlike spirit. But then you get into your teenage years and then you up the ante. And one of the very early rotational pranks that was a part of my life was the art of TPing, and hitting houses.
Okay, I
right?
forgot that's a prank.
Now, we never took it so far to like egg throwing, or we always had a line of like, if you can't undo it the next day,
Don't do it.
Now, obviously, there's difficulty in getting toilet paper out of a tree, but yeah, if it can't be easily cleaned up with household items, it can't be done. So like eggs were off limits.
Yeah.
Any like
You didn't butter?
no, we never did butter. Was that
Butter
safe?
on cars?
Really?
Oh, yeah. You could like write messages on a car, and then like 4 days later, it would show up. Ruining
I mean, I'm a
stuff.
great thrower of a toilet paper roll. I could sail one of those.
You get that
bad
lefty,
boys.
bro.
Oh yeah,
It's that lefty.
Yeah, and then like forking a yard, we would do. I would saran wrap cars of
Yes.
buddies.
Yes.
I mean, you could really make that process undoing
we
hard.
where I did some of this drinking was also like sleepovers.
Yeah.
Where we saran wrapped an intersection.
Yep.
So where you couldn't go through from like stop sign to stop sign to
That's
stop sign.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. We
Sorry, I'm thinking about it.
there's some pastors in my life that we would sneak over to their house at night, and like they had entire like furniture seating for their porch and pool, and we would just completely remove it and 50 yards out beyond their fence reset it up exactly how it was.
That's brilliant.
And the one time we did it
funny.
was the day before like a Mother's Day luncheon, and the male of the home was out of town, and so the wife had to move it all back in on her. I mean, it was quite the story for a while.
That's brilliant.
But it was like oh man, I love those times. Now we've had quite a bout together, like pitting like we would throw pranks at each other. You went at me a couple times in a youth group.
I did?
on a camp in Oak Ridge.
Okay, so I think we're gonna have a little bit of like who remembers what here.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of hits to the head since. I don't remember how the prank. Okay, I had a rule that pranks shouldn't ruin anybody's time at a camp
Yeah.
or retreat.
Yeah.
That was my rule.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of people early on, not you, that hardcore pressed that.
Sure.
So especially
it's
being,
hard to stop.
especially being young.
Yeah.
I probably was a little trigger happy
Yeah.
to establish that we're not doing this stuff.
But I did provoke you.
I don't remember what you did to cause this.
I think I stole some stuff from your room, which Allison was with you for this particular camp. And I believe I ended up taking stuff from your room some of it belonged to her. And that was the part of it that escalated your retaliation more than probably you would have normally done.
Absolutely. And I think our friendship, like our relationship,
Yeah.
because my thing was like my thing has always been in life, and maybe not so much anymore that I'm older, but it's like I will meet you
Yeah.
and go
Yeah.
beyond.
Yeah.
So my retaliation.
That's a Cody trait.
Is it a Cody trait?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember my retaliation was a whole bottle of conditioner into your sleeping bag.
Yeah.
With-
And pillow.
And pillow without you knowing it.
Yeah. Like dumping. We're not saying just hid, dumped.
Emptied into that bag.
Without me knowing. And I did attempt to get in it, feeling this. I mean, I thought I couldn't. I mean, in that half second, I couldn't figure out what it was. It was very terrifying. That type of texture is not supposed to be in your sleeping bag. So it was like, I remember that feeling to the day.
I feel really bad about it now because I know that like that ruined.
Yeah.
Did you just turn your sleeping bag inside out, or what did we do?
No, I think I just slept under it. Like, because there was
that's
no
fair.
way to get it out. Like, you're not going to hose it down. So I was going to throw it away, but I needed a sleeping bag, so I just slept under it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I actually love it. I think it was a great prank.
But you did not retaliate after that.
No, that I could tell that was like a shot across that said, "Don't mess with me," and you were still like above me, so I was like, I can't push this line. I don't want to get sent home.
So here's one of the reasons I got this. Has nothing to do with pranks, but I'm remembering things of why I didn't like them on camps and stuff. So like one time, I forget what it was like. It was like crazy. We had one summer where I was like in 46 places and 55 nights or something stupid. And my wife had put together this huge Rubbermaid of like drinks and snacks and like all this stuff. Like I'm talking like $300 or $400 to last me the summer. And like day 2, kids had got into it and like eaten it all and were selling it to other people. And so I think the idea of messing with other people's stuff was just, I was so done.
Yeah.
So
my favorite one, which is borderline crossing the line, and I'm not going to use names just for the sake of it. We had this like dude like sleepover Halo night. This was not us. This
okay. I'm like, what did I do?
Somewhere else with a couple of buddies. And one particular buddy would always fall asleep first. And so this was right when we got a hold of a camera and we started filming some of these pranks that we would do on each other.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah. And so like he was talking in his sleep and he was a deep sleeper. And we proceeded for about an hour to almost wake him up with like the classic like tickle his nose and like shaving cream hit, all the way to like convincing him someone was outside that wanted to fight him. And we were able, I mean, if it wasn't, I wish I still had the tape, but we have DV tape of this, of him running outside and like being ready to full on fist fight somebody. And then we'd get him to go back to sleep. It was one of my favorite pranks ever. I think because we got it on camera.
And you could rewatch it.
Yeah.
So have you had any other pranks go wrong?
I don't know if this was meant to be a prank, but my cousin and I, all of the cousins would go to my grandparents' house a lot when we were kids. It was like 10 acres. It was awesome. We had a summer of like starting fires with magnifying glasses, like doing put the sun and starting a fire.
Burn
and
the
like,
ants.
Blowing bugs up. And we thought it was funny that we could light the bark off of our grandparents' like front, like they had a wraparound drive in front of their house with a beautiful cottonwood tree at the center.
Oh wow!
And we would burn the edges of the bark and light it on fire, and so it was prank like.
Yeah. Okay.
And like our
mischievous.
Our grandfather kept telling us stop doing it. Like we thought it was funny because we tell him the tree's on fire. And he'd come out and we'd be out there like holding it and he's like, put it out. And it would just kind of, singe, maybe catch, and then go out. So once we were done with it, doing the magnifying glasses, we got bored. We ran around the back to swim. About an hour later, we hear my grandmother's voice just shrieking, yelling our names. And it was this, Grammy never got mad. So hearing her yell like that was a high level of concern. We run around and the tree is engulfed in flames.
What?
It had smoldered underneath the bark where we thought it was out, and the wind just kept giving it life, and it just caught a whole section of the tree on fire, and we like had to run out with the hot water hose and buckets to put it out. Yeah, that tree never recovered to the full extent it should have.
You almost burned down their house.
I mean,
like, literally.
Yeah, it could have been there. Like if she didn't catch it when it did, it could have jumped to the pines that were next to it, and then across. I mean, it was bad. So I would say that was prank level gone wrong because we were trying to agitate early, the grandparents, see how far we could push their buttons.
Just being punks.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had a prank really go wrong, but do you prank as a dad now?
I a little, but I definitely I don't want to be a bully. Like I definitely don't. I want my kids to trust me. So I probably at this age, not a whole lot yet. There's a couple things that like Lincoln hates fish. He does not want to eat fish. We had him try it. He hated it. And frankly, I don't eat a lot of fish either. But he'll probably twice a week he'll ask what's for dinner, and I'll say fish, and I'll be dead serious for a good 5 minutes. Like no, buddy, we're gonna. And he's freaking out that he's got to try. Yeah, and then I'll give up on it, And he's like, you know, he loves it now. He thinks that's funny, but that's about the extent I do. Like I'm not a big, like I'll scare a buddy or my brother, but I don't know. I don't want to ruin the kids too early. I'm gonna lean into it. But what about you?
And okay, for some reason in the stories that you just told me, I remember some pranks that we pulled at the last camp, the very last camp I ever did.
Okay.
I thought it would be funny to get like dressed in all black.
Okay.
And this camp was out in the woods, and like, oh man, we gotta talk camp stories at one point. That's a segment because I have two really funny ones. But like, so what we did was we did this game called like 600 students, about 40 leaders that participated, and we did find the leader. And so over the whole campground, the leaders went and hid.
So good.
And leaders were worth different points based on what they were wearing and how they were going to hide. And so like Luke, my friend Luke Campbell, I think you've met him. He's like, Luke, if I get this wrong, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's just a big old Louisiana boy.
Yeah.
Like 6'6".
Yeah.
And just big, right? And he had a ghillie suit that fit him, and he hid. Nobody ever found, like, hours and hours in the middle of the night. Nobody found. Anyways, my point to this is my admin, Amber, she got one of those like Grim Reaper, like 7 feet tall costumes, and just hid, like standing next to a tree, and she broke a girl. Like the girl was screaming bloody murder.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But so the pranks can go to, well, one of the ones that I would always do. I started pranking Tate when he was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
He would kiss me goodnight or give me a hug goodnight, and Allison would go help him brush his teeth or whatever, and then he would go get in the bed. In between, I would go hide under his bed.
Oh my God.
And so there would be times where I'm showing this with my hands. So if you're not watching, this is hard to describe, but he would be laying in bed, and it would be like lights out, laying in bed for about 45 seconds to 3 minutes. And I would scoot out where I could just reach out from underneath the bed and grab him and rip him to the floor.
That is terrible. I could not do that to my son.
Oh my gosh, dude. It was awesome. And he would scream, and then he would hate it, and then he would love it. And so there'd be oftentimes I'd hide in their closet. Both of them. I just hide in their closet. And about 10 minutes after.
They definitely still check under their bed and closet because of you, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah, because I would change it up, too. Because there would be times where, like, they would just walk in, and I would grab their ankles. Oh, yeah. He had this Minecraft, cardboard Minecraft Steve head up, like, on a bookshelf. I put lights in it that I could remote control, and the eyes would light up red.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, it was great.
This is where like I don't know if I could do that, but I love it. I love that it works for your dynamic. But that's wild.
I need to get them again.
Yeah,
that's what it's been a while, but they're both.
I mean the Ashton Kutcher prank series. Like I love all of that. I think it's a phenomenal. I would apparently Anthony Davis. I hate to bring it up. Anthony Davis has a prank show coming. I don't know if you knew that.
What? Really?
Yeah, like Anthony Davis is hosting it. So like I know. I went backwards. I shouldn't have done it, but we'll see. We love pranks. And there's a line.
There is.
Your line is a little deeper than mine, but
I don't know, man. You're kids, dude.
I know.
Toy with it.
I know. I think as they get older,
look, they're gonna need counseling for something. Just add on to it a little bit,
or maybe like maybe it replaces what they're like.
Right,
maybe, okay, that's a good one.
I know my dad loved me because he tortured me. Yeah. Versus like I'm not sure if my dad loved me or not. I don't know.
I love it. Well,
we've been wanting to talk about this for a long time.
Yeah, and we're excited about it because it's an important part of our lives. We both recently made purchases in this realm. But today we will talk about Tesla. Yeah.
Who's starting?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I want to know can you remember when you first heard about Tesla?
Yeah, like 2013.
Yeah.
I mean, a while ago.
Yeah.
I've always been into tech. I don't think you can talk about Tesla without talking about like technology. And I know we talked about technology a little bit, but I've always been kind of a tech head. And so like the next biggest thing, I want the next phone. I mean, not anymore because they're all the same now.
Yeah.
There's not like these super advances in that, but I wanted HD before anybody else,
Yep.
and 1080p versus 720i and all that stuff. So for me, just kind of being a part of like reading tech blogs, which I know doesn't really exist anymore. Was it Boy Genius Report, BGR.com, stuff like that. Found out about this idea of electric cars, and it was early on, in the development of like the original Tesla Roadster and all of that stuff. So I was totally like, oh, that's cool, but it just felt so distant. But I remember. How about you?
Probably about the same time. It was I didn't, as much as of a tech guy I am, I didn't care a whole lot about electric cars. Like, especially being in Texas, we just have kind of a different take on that whole like
that's true.
green movement. Not that I'm against it. I actually think it's good to like explore these routes, but it didn't trigger me in that way to jump on board early on. It was just kind of like that's interesting. We'll see where it goes. It felt really flat-footed of an attempt. Like that, the early era of EVs, the Prius and stuff just it wasn't sexy. It wasn't exciting to me. So I just kind of like, I read about it, but that was about it.
Well, and I think consumer, I guess that will have to be techie being consumer technology, not science technology.
Yeah. And you have one. But then I think the first time, which was a few years ago, a buddy let me ride it in his Plaid with him. And that was the first like tangible moment I can remember thinking, this is not just an electric car. Like, this is disruptive technology and like mobility. And everything made sense. Like, that was literally the first time I rode in a Tesla. Was like probably 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
And again, like, I just don't think watching something, a commercial, looking at pictures does it justice. You have to get in one. And it just finally, for the first time in getting in a car, felt like there was a car maker that said, let's build something not only that's cool and edgy and like modern, but let's also make it make sense. Like, the common sense of Tesla is one of my favorite parts.
So we had our last house, we had a friend that lived across the street, and he had like a 2020 Model Y.
Yeah.
And he got it new. So it was like, this was 2021. Anyways, and so he'd be like, hey, come ride in it. And I was like, oh, this is neat. This is cool. But I didn't really I wasn't buying one or anything. Yeah. So I was totally like, this is interesting. It's different. But I kind of just, that was it. Until you got yours. Now I had read and watched YouTube channels and stuff like that on Teslas, but there was still this distance from it. But why did you bought a Tesla about 6 months ago? Mm-hmm. Why did you buy a Tesla, sir? Where puts you over the edge?
The truck was a big part of it. I loved how ridiculously, like, it was so ugly. It was great looking to me. Like, I still
feel the exact same way.
It's so weird, and I just kind of looks like a warthog, so I love that part of it. But it wasn't the look. When he announced it, I reserved one the moment you could. And I told myself, the day that I get the notification that it's ready, I'm in. Like, I want to be there. And it came to fruition this last year. And the features, I love that it is a literal tank, that it is shatter resistant, to some level bulletproof. It's got a bioweapon air filter. That's insane. I love the speed of it for being a truck. I love the functionality of it still being a truck. I love the form factor. I love the viewability. I love everything about it. And again, like, all of the interface and how you can tweak features. It is the first vehicle I've ever bought with no buyer's remorse, and I cannot believe I'm saying that.
Even with the ugliness.
And it feels, it's obnoxious. Like, it's comical how much attention it gets. I actually didn't think about that. I really didn't. And then you're like, oh, a lot of people see this and have like a very polarizing reaction to it. Either they're awed by it or they are disgusted, and they're going to flip you off driving by. Just because you have one, which I sure has a little bit to do with the fact that it's Elon. But I also think like they just can't stand. It's very polarizing, and I didn't. Yeah. So I'm impressed for the fact that it technically only has 5 seats, and we have 5 members in our family and a golden retriever, and we could all pack in that thing and still feel comfortable in it, and still have the bed to lug stuff around. It's great. The range of electric vehicles is still a problem. I'm not going to hide that. A lot of people try to use the charging station problem. Not a problem for me, right? Like having a charger at home. And then even, I think people forget, like they want to be able to go 300-400 miles easily on a gas tank and know that there's a gas station every other exit on a road trip. And like, what people don't, I think, realize is that when you pre-program a destination in the system, if it's 20 hours away, it's going to pre-plan where you have to stop to charge. Like it can already map that out. And so to me, that's a non-issue. I love it. I absolutely love every bit of owning a Tesla. And I don't even think it's the truck part, because people will be like, well, you wouldn't get one otherwise. Actually, I think FSD is a singular feature that can hold me.
For full self-driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into that.
Let's do it.
So before we get into that, I want to hop in because you just covered a lot of area.
Mm-hmm.
So I've loved Tesla. I've always joked with my wife, I want one. Now she kind of she's like, yeah, you get a car that runs on a battery, and the battery's going to die in a year because it's like your phone battery, and the technology is totally different. First of all, so let's start there. For those of you who don't know, it's just totally completely different. It's not like a cell phone battery where Apple can make your phone battery not work as well to get you to buy a new phone.
They have studies that show that it can go 200,000 miles and still have 83% on average like battery capacity.
Yeah, it's awesome. But so I got to ride with you.
Yep.
Within the first 2 weeks that you've had your truck.
I was like 3 days.
Was it 3 days? Oh, okay. First 3 days, and we got a cool trip. We got to go down to. We both just like it always comes back to Mavericks.
We went to the opening Mavericks game.
We went to the opening Mavericks game this season, and in it, and you had the full self-driving, and right now it's supervised, which means the cameras that are looking at you are making sure you're looking
attention on the road,
at the road, hands on steering wheel type stuff, and it will shut down if you like try to go to sleep or whatever. Yeah. You're looking at your phone, it will tell you stop, and it will shut down.
Yeah.
But that trip that we went on, I remember just being in awe of it. But my question was this a Cybertruck experience, or is this a Tesla experience that I'm falling in love with? And that led me to investigating what the differences were, and then that led to me buying. I got a used Model S, and so it's 4 years old. And the battery is still at like 96%. Like it hasn't degraded. It's at 98%. It's still great, Yeah. But I would say it's a Tesla experience.
Yeah.
Because there's not everything that I experience in your truck, I get to experience in my car. And so that being the case, what makes Tesla? I agree with you. The fact that you said like this feels like the way it should be. Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. There's so many little things that are. Why wouldn't every car be this way?
Yep.
We're here at my shop, and so every day that I back out, I don't have to put it in reverse because it knows I don't want to go forward.
Yep.
And I back out, and when I come to a stop, it's like the next time you turn, like it shifts into drive by itself because it knows I don't want to go. I can shift it and all that stuff, but I don't have to.
Yep.
But so let's jump into the full self-driving thing real quick. Mm-hmm. Freaks my wife out.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I'm so used to it that when someone first experiences it, they are jarred by it. The idea of trusting a robot to drive you is so foreign to them. It's scary to watch, like for them.
Do you just click and let go? And just kind of forget about?
Yeah.
See, I'm a little bit in between that. There's sometimes I just click and let go, and then there's sometimes, but I do a lot of highway driving.
Yeah.
So on the highway, I'm like, click and let go. But city,
sometimes
I take over just to take over.
I was city driving for sure. If the family's in the car with me, I'm a little bit more conscious of it. But I can't wait for unsupervised. It's going to give us hours of our life back to have a little bit more focus on what's happening inside the car as opposed to driving.
And just so people know, statistically, it is safer than a human.
8 times safer.
8 times safer.
Yeah, they did a study that like a person driving on average, it's a wreck one of every 600,000 drives, whereas under FSD, it's one of every 7.5 million.
Jeez.
Like, it's literally able to look all directions. You humanly cannot do that and respond to it. It just, yeah, I love it. Now, your belief that technology fails is something you got to factor in, right? But we have over a decade of data now of looking at how Teslas are running on the road. And it's, there's 1 or 2 stories that there's a freak situation, and most of the, I believe in it. Here's the other thing too is when you look at other car makers, like if you look at sales, Tesla's lapping every other car maker in the world right now. They can't compete. And when every other car maker that's making EVs is submitting to the Tesla supercharger system and specs, man, you just pulled off an Apple. Like you have now redefined the standard for automakers.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I don't like Apple, but yes, right. And full self-driving. One of the reasons I like the full self-driving is because on the highway, it's not a click and forget where you can close your eyes or stare at your phone or whatever. But the fatigue, of a 40-minute drive, which is 30 minutes highway, is so much nicer. Like you're just there. I'm excited to do a road trip. I'm excited to go to Kansas on that. And if you map it out, it's like. One of the things I tell people is the charging experience is not what you think at all. Mm-hmm. I don't even have a charger at my house. Yeah. And I live out in rural where there's no charger. I pull up to my shop. My shop has a plug-in that I can get. It's a low mileage plug-in, but I plug it in. It's enough to keep me going. If I have to stop by Buc-ee's in the Metroplex, I literally can get a full charge in about the time I walk in and go to the bathroom and walk back. And a full tank of charge costs like $4
totally
versus $50 in a car.
I did that 5-hour trip to Tulsa and back, and it was the road exhaustion, the mental game, totally a game changer there. You're stopping that long as a family anyway at a gas station, in my opinion, and your superchargers are always at a pretty solid, like top tier stop. Mm-hmm. So it does not, it's just like muscle memory when you get a new car. Like buttons are in a different spot, and the way the car drives, like you got to change all of those muscle memories that you had with your previous car. It's the same thing with this, maybe a little more, but after 2 weeks, none of it is disruptive. Like you just get used to it.
Well, and I found that things are, like you said, things are better. Yeah. Like, so I have the full Tesla experience like you do, where I don't have the steering wheel, I have the yoke. Now the Cybertruck has like a version of the yoke. But I have the yoke. I don't have any stocks, so there's no blinker stocks or windshield wiper stocks. It's all buttons. There's no gear shift. There's no gear dial. It's all on the screen. And I don't notice it actually. Every movement is faster or more comfortable after I got used to it. But I think then people go, well, that's because you got used to it. No, it actually took about 3 days. And I'm fully used to everything and love everything.
I love it. And I mean, we'll have a segment for him. We debated if this was inclusive, but Elon Musk, I love the guy. I love what he's doing. I love his businesses. I can't wait for Optimus. Can't wait for robots, but we'll save that for another day.
Can't wait for robots? Oh man, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll do an Elon segment.
So what's your favorite, if you had to pick, what's your favorite thing about your Tesla?
About Tesla, as a Tesla vehicle.
Let's go to Cybertruck and then Tesla. If they're the same, they're the same. But what's your?
My favorite part about the truck is its speed and its acceleration time. I didn't realize how much I enjoy driving
quickly.
Like I'm not actually an overly big speeder, but I like being able to on ramps and change lanes quickly.
Yes.
And I love that even as a truck, it can do it so well. Like, I never have to worry, can I make it? Because I'm like, it can make it.
See, I would have thought the steer-by-wire in the Cybertruck.
That is another, I mean, yeah, that's a close second.
Okay.
That's a close second.
Steer-by-wire it's all electronically controlled steering, which means like a 90-degree turn with the wheel is like a full U-turn.
Yeah.
You never actually turn the wheel around.
Yeah.
So your arms, if you're holding 10 and 2 or 3 and 9, never actually cross.
Yeah.
It's so like a lane change is like a flinch.
I mean, yeah, it's very sharp.
I thought I had needed to
And then
explain
Tesla, it's FSD for sure. What about you?
Dude, having a Plaid, the Model S Plaid, I have to say it's the acceleration. Mm-hmm. Like it is. Yeah. It's mind-numbing. You literally will feel like you can't hold the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And so I would say acceleration, but also it's weird, man. It's low, and I never feel like I'm low. Mm. So I guess that would be my favorite.
That's fair.
You can zoom around.
Yeah.
Tesla, favorite Tesla feature? I feel like I'm discovering them every day. Like new little features.
The app is pretty incredible. All that you could do from your phone.
Okay, so for me, my favorite is Summon. Because I've used Summon often.
Yep.
And it people don't realize like it's stupid. It is actually stupid. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, you're like that's really great. It can do that.
Yeah.
I've had to get out of Walmart in the pouring down rain, and I got to stand at the doors and open my app and push a button, and my car backs out and comes to me, and I get in. Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Yes.
Like yes, that's bougie, but like, yes, you should be able to have that option in that moment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, that's dangerous. Like, okay, well, just so you know, in the app, it shows all of your cameras in the app while you're holding it. It goes very slow. I mean, not too slow, but it goes like the right speed.
Yeah.
You can stop it. You can back it up. You can go forward in the app right there while you're standing there. So I think for me right now, let's see it. The other thing that I love, the Tesla thing. Have you used the service yet?
Yes.
So my door handle motor.
Okay.
Right. And you schedule it, and they tell you when they're going to come. It pops up on your calendar, and then I've gotten 2 notifications. Hey, we can be there sooner. Is it okay if we come this date? It's earlier. Yes, and it's all done in an app, and they do it all, and it's
Yeah, it just makes sense. It just
so
makes
good.
sense, and I think it should push other car makers to continue to think like, how do we keep up? Because you're going to get left in the dust.
And a lot of it is software based.
Yeah.
They would have to catch up on.
Yeah, and the fact that he's promising updates for years to come on a product that in this day and age you typically got to pay for every single upgrade, like, again, that just makes sense. You're taking care of your customers.
Yeah.
Would you call that loyalty?
I would call it.
That's full circle.
Oh my gosh.
That's full circle. I'm still bitter.
Dude,
I know, full circle.
Luka, we love you.
Yeah.
We miss you. I do. It is weird. I don't know if I can watch the Mavericks.
I don't think I can right now. I mean, like, I'm going to be interested in like how the season pans out, but I'm not going to watch it as a fan. So, well, I mean, hey, here. Oh, I don't think we've actually introduced where we are today. We could end off with this. Where are we?
Today we are. We actually talked about trying to go to the arena and record and to go live from there. We just have previous engagements for this afternoon that we can't get to. So we are in my shop, in my car detail shop, here in Decatur. And so right now we're in one of the bays, the main wash bay.
Yeah,
and good lighting. So I can see your beautiful face.
We'll probably do more here and, try to get some more car integrated content maybe into the podcast a little bit.
We like cars.
We like cars. I don't claim to know them well. I like them. I have a lot of opinions about them. And we like seeing them cleaned up.
We do like, we like the satisfaction of clean cars.
That's right. So we'll link it in the description, but you've got some products yourself.
We do. My brother and I, as we started kind of going this deep dive in the business of car detailing, we were just unsatisfied with a lot of the products that we could buy. So we met up with the chemist in Florida and started talking about making our own stuff. And so we're constantly refining that.
You like went breaking clean almost.
Do I?
You went with the chemist, went breaking clean.
We did.
Breaking bad.
Yes, we went breaking clean.
Yeah.
And so we do have stuff for sale. We can put that link up there.
Yeah.
But we're constantly. Sometimes the formula runs out. Sometimes we can't find someone to make it, which is what we're dealing with on a couple of our product line right now. So
there you go. Well, thanks for hosting us this time.
Yeah, dude.
Sir. And I have some thoughts for what we're going to do next, so I'm excited about it. I think
Give me one.
I think we should record for as bad as we are, I think we should record an episode golfing from a golf cart.
I mean, I'm in.
Yeah. It's going to be messy and we'll figure it out.
Frustration on the golf course?
Yeah, I know. There's some caveats we got to figure out, but I think it'd be a really fun episode to figure out. If you made it this far in the podcast, you either skip to the end, which I do not approve of, or you've ridden with us the entire time, and we're very grateful.
And you feel exceptionally average as well.
That's right. And that is where we land today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for sticking with us.
Codified, where we come alive in the hum of every day. We strive with the ordinary. We find our grace, an exceptional average in this space. Through morning dew and twilight's haze, we navigate these muddled days. From heartland fields to city lights, we walk the road through days and nights. Every moment a chapter new, with voices bright and stories true. Listen close and you will find the beauty in the common kind. Codified, where we come alive in the hum of every day. We strive with the ordinary. We find our grace, an exceptional average in this space. Every moment a chapter new, with voices bright and stories true. Listen close and you will find the beauty in the common kind.